So we're going live. Hi, it's Tamara here from the EFT Training Centre, and I am delighted to be joined with Silva today, who is one of our EFT practitioners. She's also a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, and I believe you combine a synergy of all your tools to create amazing retreats and workshops. So thank you so much for joining me here today. And you've been using EFT during this pandemic, during the lockdown, and it's been supporting you. So perhaps you can say a little bit about how you've been using it.
Well, what tended to happen with me, or has tended to happen, is when you wake up and you think the world's normal, and then like a few seconds later you realise it isn't, and there's that anxiety. So I actually start straight away with tapping, and all I say is I relax and breathe, and I go through the tapping points, and I just keep going round and round and round until I actually start to settle and sort of feel okay. Because I just think it's so important. The way you start the day is really kind of colours the rest of the day. So that's kind of my starting point, really.
Can I just pause you there, because I think that's fantastic for people who are watching to actually hear that. Just to start your day with tapping on all the points, saying I relax and breathe, it's so simple. So if you're watching this and you wake up with anxiety, that's a brilliant thing to do. So thank you so much for sharing that tip. That's brilliant.
That's okay. Yeah. And then sort of through the day, I mean, our lives are relatively simple. We're retired, and we're certainly not frontliners, but things come up, and the main thing has been, I guess, concern for my family. There's a lot of family, and three of them have asthma. So I do get very concerned. And it's not realistic. I'm sure you all find that with families, that you get onto Zoom or the phone and say, right, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. It's just not going to happen, is it? Yeah. But what I do find helpful is for me, and I'm sure for them, is to surrogate tap. So basically, I'm tapping on my own tapping points. But I'm tapping and I get a nice image of them in front of me, and I'm just tapping around, and whether that could be about, touch wood, they're all okay at the moment, but I can tap on sort of like resilience. I might be saying, that whatever the family, just really tapping in that resilience, and maybe sort of thinking about I don't know, eating the right foods, or just generally things that are going to keep them, at least I feel, in a stronger place. So EFT is amazing because it's just always there, it's always solid, and it's always consistent. So it makes me feel better. I'm tapping on those points for a start. But it's not just about making me feel better, because I know with all my heart, because I've seen it so many times when I've been working with surrogate tapping, that, particularly grandchildren have said, I just feel so much better, or that situation has turned around. So I just know it works. There's no doubt in my mind. So that's really, really helpful, is to do the surrogate tapping. Yeah.
That's so brilliant. So perhaps you can say a bit about how you do the surrogate tapping. For example, let's see, someone's just posted, so curious to know if tapping could be a precursor and more conservative management to one's mental health challenges before a more invasive procedure like TMS. I don't know what TMS is. Do you know what TMS is? No. I think that EFT is fantastic, but obviously if you have mental illness, it's really important that you work with a practitioner, and perhaps not with just self-tapping. Yeah. Anyway, I'll feed back to those comments perhaps after the session, but thank you so much for sharing them. So, sorry, back to you, Silva. Perhaps you could share a little bit about...
Sorry, Tamara. And I was just going to say, on that comment, I'm not giving advice, but tapping as a starting point, can just give you clarity on the next step forward.
Absolutely, that's so true. Thank you. And when you do the surrogate tapping, do you kind of tap as you for them, or do you tap you saying that you are them? Because there are two ways of doing this, and I'm curious to know how you do it.
There are. I say the words as if I am them, but I hold an image of them in front of me, and I actually see them tapping on their own tapping points. So I guess they're kind of mirroring me. But I'm speaking as if they're speaking, and in a way it feels like they're speaking those words.
Great, good. And actually, we'll do a round of tapping on the things that we discussed before the call, but I'm just wondering whether we actually do some tapping for a family member now, so that people can tap along with us, and you can do it for your family member that you're thinking about, and other people can focus on their own family members that they're worried about. Yesterday, I was sharing how I've been concerned about my dad as well, because he has some health issues, and he has to actually go out to the hospital occasionally to get blood tests, which does worry me, but he says he has no choice, and so I have to trust that that's what he has to do. So if you're thinking about a particular family member now who you would like to support in this tapping, perhaps you can say what kind of qualities you would like to send them or offer them or give them.
I think for sure this feeling of kind of resilience.
Yeah, great word.
And there's something about them feeling empowered to help themselves, through whatever ways. Certainly we've heard lots about high doses of vitamin C and things. I mean, I won't go into it, but just looking at supplements and breathing exercises, looking at things that can support them, and them using them. Really, is that possible to create some tapping around that?
Yeah, I think it's important with the surrogate tapping, at least from my perspective, and I know you've had lots more experience with surrogate tapping than I have, but that we don't kind of focus on the hows for them, be it supplements or breathing exercises, because they're going to find their unique way, which may or may not be our way, but we're just sending the energy of resilience, of empowering them to help themselves in the best way that they know how, which is good for them. So kind of like almost sending it out to them, and not kind of thinking, well, you need to take more vitamin C.
No. That's right. Yeah. Yes, that sounds fine. Yeah.
Okay, and maybe we can send them vibrant health energy and super immunity energy, the kind of things that I've been using in my videos. Would that feel like the right things to?
Sure. Yeah, that feels much better, actually. Yes, yeah. I think that sort of mother or grandmother position where you actually can, as you said, get quite fixed about they need this and they need that, whereas it does, of course, need to be much more of an umbrella, and let them find their own way. Absolutely, Tamara, thanks for that.
That's okay. And it is like, for those of you watching, EFT is like, surrogate tapping is not manipulative. It's not kind of trying to make your son, daughter, grandchild do something. It's just kind of sending them that energy, and then they do with it whatever they can. And if we're feeling about our relatives, if we're feeling anxious or worried that they're not going to take the advice, then the best thing to do is to reduce that anxiety for ourselves as well. So there are two ways of doing this, but we'll go with the surrogate tapping anyway for now.
Can I just say as well, it's something about affirming that they have within themselves what they need to support themselves. It's, I think, something about acknowledging that they have that within themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Can I just tell you a quick story?
Please.
Yes. My goddaughter has Crohn's, and she has to have these infusions. And she got in touch with me and just said she was really anxious about, because she's been, in lockup for a long time because she's obviously high risk. But she had to go to the hospital to have these infusions, and like she wanted some support on that. So I did kind of a lot of, well, not a lot, but actually I did some tapping on her. And then she texted me from the hospital bed and said, there's only one other person here. I am getting one-to-one, because she's there for hours, one-to-one attention. The nurses are absolute angels. This is an amazing experience. So it all went really well for her.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. That's very affirming as well, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so if you're watching this and you're doing EFT for the first time, we are going to be touching our faces. So Silva, I trust that you've washed your hands or put hand sanitizer on. So if you're watching this video and you need to pause it to make sure that your hands are clean, then please do that now. And it's EFT, stands for Emotion Freedom Technique. It's also called tapping. And it's like acupuncture for emotions without the use of needles. And the invitation is simply to do what I do and say what I say. And if you don't like what I do or say, then simply don't do it. But if you do tap along with me, you agree to take responsibility for your own well-being. So we will start by just, so bring to mind, for those of you watching, someone in your family, someone you care about, and something, it doesn't have to be a single person. It could be, for example, the whole of the NHS or all the health providers that are taking care of us. So, just bring to mind someone or an entity of people who you're worried about and anxious about. And we're going to start. And just say, I'm going to say sending that person, and we'll just go with that. So, sending that person resilience energy. And you can repeat that if you don't mind.
Sending this person resilience energy.
And just take a deep breath. Sending that person.
Sending that person.
Even more resilience energy.
Even more resilience energy.
To cope with whatever comes their way.
To cope with whatever comes their way.
To actually thrive with whatever comes their way.
To actually thrive with whatever comes his way.
And take a deep breath. And moving on to the beginning of the eyebrow. Sending that person empowered energy.
Empowered energy.
So that they can help themselves.
So that they can help themselves.
In alignment.
In alignment.
With their highest good.
His highest good.
And take a deep breath. And side of the eye. Sending them the wisdom and knowledge.
Sending him the wisdom and knowledge.
To support himself.
To support himself.
In the best way.
Best way.
And the highest good of all.
And the highest good of all.
And take a deep breath. And under the eye. Sending him vibrant health energy.
Sending him vibrant health energy.
And take a deep breath. Sending him super immunity energy.
Sending him super immunity energy.
And take a deep breath. Sending him whatever he needs.
Sending him whatever he needs.
In order to be healthy right now.
In order to be healthy right now.
And in order to overcome all potential obstacles.
And the ability to overcome all potential obstacles.
Are there things that, is it health that you're concerned about, or is it like finances, or?
Well, health primarily.
Yeah, thank you. Sending him deep breath energy.
Sending him deep breath energy.
That's filled with an abundance of oxygen.
That's filled with an abundance of oxygen.
To oxygenate his blood.
To oxygenate his lungs.
And strengthen his immune system.
And strengthen his immune system.
And take a deep breath. And under the arm. Sending him magic and miracle energy.
Sending him magic and miracle energy.
And take a deep breath. And put your hands on your heart chakra, center of the chest, and say transform, and take a deep breath.
Transform.
So how are you doing?
It's good. I really felt very, very connected. I sort of felt his sort of slight humor as well. You know, that sort of slightly amused energy, but it was lovely. It's really good. Yeah, I feel very good.
Fantastic. And yeah, and it'd be interesting. I don't know if you kind of check in with him to see how he feels, or do you do that with other members of the family? I don't know.
Some I do and some I don't. But
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good. And if you've been tapping along with us, then feel free to write in the comments how that's made you feel and how you feel with regard to the other person that you've been tapping for. So we're going to do another round, Silva. So for those of you watching, you can repeat this as many times as you need to, and you don't have to just do one round. You can repeat it over and over in one session if you have time, or you can do it daily. It just depends what works for you. So we're going to do a little bit of more tapping for you, Silva. And I know you mentioned before what you want to work on, but just to clarify, if you want to share that now.
I think it's the kind of mixture of feelings, really. As I said, our lives are quite simple, and you know, it's all fine with the lockdown, but just kind of having these concerns and doubts and these what if, and you know, I think particularly not being able to access, and again I'm talking mainly about family members not being able to physically do anything, the what ifs, and then you know that part of me that says, but you know better than this, you know, you're a light bearer here, you know, let's stay positive and don't go into the what ifs. So it's sort of almost denying my feelings, which particularly as an EFT practitioner, you know, we know it, we honor our feelings. So there's kind of that mixture of sort of sabotaging and you know, having I don't know, sort of not doubts about my feelings, but sabotaging my feelings, like you shouldn't feel that, and but at the same time knowing that I should be honoring my feelings. So very mixed. That's a
Fantastic.
for
Thank you.
Laura.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's start. So even though I have a whole mix of feelings
I have a whole mix of feelings
and concerns
and concerns
and what ifs,
and what ifs.
and do you want to just name any of those at this point? Like the emotions, is it anxiety, worry, fear? Just giving them a little voice.
Anxiety, I suppose. Yeah, anxiety.
And I'm acknowledging, sorry, go on.
Sorry, maybe a mixture.
A mixture
And fear.
A mixture of anxiety and fear.
A mixture of anxiety and fear.
And I should know better.
And I should know better.
Because I have the tools to resolve this.
Because I have the tools to resolve this.
And did you say I'm a light worker?
Yes, a light bearer, I think.
A light bearer. And I'm a light bearer.
A light bearer, yes.
And I should know better than to dip into these negative emotions.
And I should know better than dipping into these negative emotions.
So not only am I experiencing this anxiety.
So not only am I experiencing this anxiety,
I'm also giving myself a hard time about it.
Giving myself a hard time about it.
Which is easily done.
Which is easily done.
Yeah. And I acknowledge all of this.
And I acknowledge all of this.
And I'm open to the possibility.
And I'm open to the possibility.
Of finding some compassion for myself.
Of finding some compassion for myself.
With all my feelings.
With all my feelings.
The anxiety and fear.
The anxiety and fear.
And then the judging the anxiety and fear.
And then the judging the anxiety and fear.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
All of these mixed emotions.
All of these mixed emotions.
I feel like my foundations have been taken away.
I feel like my foundations have been taken away.
So it's not surprising.
So it's not surprising.
That I have these feelings.
That I have these feelings.
Of fear and anxiety.
Of fear and anxiety.
Even if I am a light bearer.
Even if I am a light bearer.
And I'm acknowledging.
And I'm acknowledging.
How hard I am on myself.
How hard I am on myself.
For having these feelings.
For having these feelings.
Feelings are just feelings.
Feelings are just feelings.
They're energy.
They're energy.
And energy can move.
And energy can move.
But they can't move.
No, they can't move.
If I'm judging them.
If I'm judging them.
And giving myself a hard time.
And giving myself a hard time.
For experiencing them in the first place.
For experiencing them in the first place.
So maybe
I
can find a way.
I can find a way
of being kinder to myself.
Of being kinder to myself.
And acknowledging.
And acknowledging.
That it's okay.
That it's okay.
To feel scared and anxious.
To feel scared and anxious.
It's not surprising.
It's not surprising.
There's a lot going on in the world.
There's a lot going on in the world.
There's a lot going on in my family.
There's a lot going on in my family.
And it feels like my foundations.
And it feels like my foundations.
Have been taken away.
Have been taken away.
And it feels like a survival issue.
And it feels like a survival issue.
That our basic needs.
That our basic needs.
Are, what's the word? Are not always available.
Are not always available.
I wonder. That if I can let go.
If I can let go.
Of some of this judgment.
of some of these judgments,
that I can start allowing
that I can start allowing
some of this fear and anxiety
some of this fear and anxiety
to be fully present,
to be fully present,
so that I can start releasing it
so that I can start releasing it
and letting it go,
and letting it go,
and be a strong and resilient family member
and be a strong and resilient family member
to the rest of my family,
for the rest of my family,
by letting go of these concerns
by letting go of these concerns
and mixture of emotions.
and mixture of emotions.
I can support my family better,
I can support my family better,
and I can support myself better.
and I can support myself better.
The higher my vibration,
The higher my vibrations,
the healthier I am,
the healthier I am,
and the more clarity I have
and the more clarity I have
about the best solutions
about the best solutions
for me,
for me,
my basic needs,
my basic needs,
and ways I can support my family.
and ways I can support my family.
And as we're tapping, does that feel right? Is there anything else that we need to add to that, or what's coming up for you?
No, that feels empowering. There's sort of a rightness and sort of solidity about it, really, about the words and position that this session has kind of shifted me into. It's kind of like where I'm meant to be.
Good.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like you need more of right now?
What do I feel like I need more of right now?
More the things you mentioned before when we were chatting, more grounding, I don't know, more resilience.
Something about those kind of that the basic foundations actually just affirming that they are in place. They are in place. Maybe they're new foundations, something like that.
Beautiful. So when you let's just pause for a moment. So when you tune into the basic foundations, what do they look like right now?
Bit cobblestoney.
Cobblestoney.
They look a bit like ancient stones like cobblestones that aren't kind of cemented very well together. They need a little bit more anchoring or something.
Thank you. Okay, even though my basic foundations
are
like cobbled stones, ancient stones that aren't connected together, and they need anchoring.
I
acknowledge that. Just the way it is. Cobblestones. Not connected. Ancient stones. They need anchoring. And how does it make you feel that they're ancient and they're not connected and they need anchoring?
Being ancient feels good. It feels like they've got lots of wisdom.
Oh, wonderful. They are ancient.
They have
lots of wisdom. So I'm open to the possibility of connecting with that wisdom. Drawing on that wisdom. To support me. Through this period of time. And what's there now as you say that?
Well, I put my thumb up because I felt a real like inner something like yes.
Fantastic. An inner yes.
An inner yes. Mm.
And are they still are they a bit more anchored or the same, or?
Yeah, they're more anchored, but they're not. Sorry, but they're not kind of rigid. They're kind of anchored,
Yeah.
but there's like healthy movement somehow.
And that feels like a good thing.
That feels like a good thing. They're not like rigid and stuck, which I can be. I can be very controlling.
When you say that, it reminds me, and not that I know anything about this at all, but you know, in countries where they have lots of earthquakes, somehow the foundations have to allow for the movement, so that if they're rigid, then it's not good. But there's like movement in the foundations or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. Yes.
Yeah. So there's movement in the foundations.
So there's movement in the foundations.
They're not rigid.
They're not rigid.
They're flexible.
They're flexible.
And that feels good.
And that feels good.
And there's an inner yes.
And there's an inner yes.
And there's ancient wisdom.
And there's ancient wisdom.
And I'm acknowledging all of that.
And I'm acknowledging all of that.
And I'm open to the possibility.
And I'm open to the possibility
of infusing into these foundations.
Of infusing into these foundations.
Resilience.
Resilience.
And robustness.
And robustness.
So that they can weather any storm.
So that they can weather any storm.
And I'm deeply supported by them.
And I'm deeply supported by them.
Does that feel true?
That feels very true.
Wonderful. So just say transform and take a deep breath.
Transform.
So how are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm feeling very, very, very different. It's almost like, you know, when you have like a really good piece of cake and you really want another piece, you know, that sort of feeling.
Yeah, I like cake.
Last round was like that. It was like, oh, let's just keep going on this, you know, like, you know,
fantastic.
Bring it on, sort of thing.
Absolutely fantastic. So you can carry on tapping after we finish the video, or you can repeat the video and watch it again. And if those of you watching at home are also feeling like that, just please do repeat watching this and see if you can help yourself feel even stronger and with even stronger foundations. So I'm just going to check what it says here. So is there a daily protocol you'd recommend for a beginner? I'd like to give it a steady go. Well, we've got an EFT manual that you can download, and I can also send you a basic de-stress video. That's for Vidya. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. And then Carolyn says, just did that for my family who have health issues. Thank you. It felt beneficial for them. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Carolyn. So if you've watched this and you've enjoyed it, then please do click on the share button so that other people can benefit. Because the way I feel about this is that we have a virus out there. It is affecting a certain percentage of the population, but we have an even bigger virus, which is the fear virus. And EFT is so good at releasing the fear. So my aim is to make tapping an even bigger virus than the fear virus. So please do share this with people who you know who could benefit, because I really think this could be a game changer for so many people. So just a really big thank you, Silva, for coming onto the video with me. I really appreciate it. And keep tapping, keep up the amazing work that you're doing for your family. They're very lucky to have you. And to everyone else, keep tapping, stay strong. You're doing really well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Thank you, Tamara.
You're welcome.